Simcha, celebration of life.
Many Jewish communities who once thrived in small towns throughout South Africa and other African countries have since disappeared, and their synagogues closed down due to people moving closer to the towns or immigrating. Following a long heritage of community country rabbis, Rabbi Silberhaft has been the spiritual leader of 13 countries for the last 2 decades. His recently published book, The Traveling Rabbi, My African Tribe, is the story of his journey to connect the trailing threads of the African Jewish community. Simcha was honored to be at the launch.
When people read the book, The Traveling Rabbi, My African Tribe, which was authored for me by Suzanne Belling recently, they must read it not as a story about myself, but in fact about the people that live in the small communities, that choose to live there, that choose to remain Jewish, that choose to remain proudly Jewish. They are the true heroes in the story.
I used to work across the road at the Board of Deputies as Executive Director, and part of my duties were traveling with him to the country towns. And I saw the amazing work he did, and I had known the other country community rabbis, but I'd never seen anybody go to this extent to make people feel comfortable, and how loved he was. And I came back to Johannesburg, and I had more time, and I said to him, we have to write this book. So it took us 15 months, which is the gestation period of a black rhinoceros. And it really was a big baby, but we finished the book.
People that will read it will appreciate the challenges and the difficulties and the pleasures that people living in the small communities have living as Jewish people.
This is precisely the attribute that has endeared Rabbi Silberhaft, the shepherd, to his vastly disparate flock. He has empathy and a profound understanding of each of his congregants' circumstances. He does not cast judgment, nor does he force upon any of his members that to which they do not voluntarily subscribe. In the words of my father, he has the ability to talk with kings and presidents at one moment, and the next to break bread with ordinary men of whatever color, creed, or religion. Regardless of a Jew's level of devotion, they are welcomed into the fold with a kind word and a kosher meal. When Rabbi Silberhaft's car makes an appearance on a dusty Platinum road or in some forgotten backwater, it brings with it far more than its mere practical contents. There's no doubt a boot brimming with kosher meat, Kiddush wine, newspapers, calendars, and other paraphernalia, but more importantly, Rabbi Silberhaft's appearance brings a familiarity, a belonging, an acknowledgement of what it is to be Jewish.
In 2003, Marion Siegel did a documentary for SABC, and she entitled it The Traveling Rabbi, and that's where the nickname came from. In actual fact, I'm known as the Country Communities Rabbi. This position has been around since 1949, and I'm the 7th in line doing this work. My fascination and interest with the country communities goes back to when I was 14 years old. I was at Yeshiva College, which is a Torah observant school in Johannesburg, and they used to send us out to the small communities to conduct High Holy Day services, and I was invited to go to Messina, which is on the Zimbabwe border. And at age 14 I went and I conducted services with friends of mine. We did it as a team. And my love and fascination for small town people, the travel, the country was just ignited at that young age. And my love and fascination for country people, country town became well known, and therefore I was the natural candidate. So there's no real job description, but what I really am, and it's not me, it's the role that I fulfill, which is administered by the Jewish Board of Deputies, is the only full-time link that country Jews have between themselves and the larger Jewish community, be it in South Africa or in Africa, to world Jewry.
Rabbi Silberhaft, you have travelled many roads along the way, both literally and figuratively, over your 18-year career. I think the most pressing question and the most important one is, can you change a tyre?
I try and get around to every community and every place twice a year. My year is divided 6 months, 6 months. But in reality it doesn't always work because there's a funeral in between, God forbid, or somebody decides to get married. So the schedule doesn't really run smoothly. But the idea is to get around twice a year and meet as many people as possible. If it's a larger community, then I congregate the people together at one central spot. and I meet them, I address them, and then after the meeting, if necessary, I address people individually. But the real challenge is to get to everybody and then follow up. So it doesn't only mean just visiting and leaving. There's a setup of arrangements, meetings, dealing with issues. Then there's the visit, and then there's the follow-ups thereafter. So it's quite an intense project, but it runs successfully. But to arrive at a destination, and never has any of my visits been as planned or the same. Every visit has its own challenges and own obstacles sometimes, but we overcome them and we succeed. In 1949, Chief Rabbi Louis Rabinowitz, who was the Chief Rabbi of South Africa at the time, identified the beginning of the demise of the small communities. At that stage, they numbered almost 40,000 individuals, and he implemented this position of country communities rabbi. And today we're sitting on just under 4,000 people spread across South Africa. South African Jewry, world Jewry, is diminishing. The reality is that the minute there's challenges, potential danger, Jews move. So here too in South Africa, uncertainty, Soweto riots, etc. You can actually see the map of how and what stages Jewish people left South Africa. And Africa is a beautiful continent. The people, the local people, are absolutely fantastic, always smiling. They can have a dictator who's destroyed the country, but the man on the street is smiling. It's encouraging to see that instead of being down and despondent, they believe that one day will be better.